Hi everybody, this is video 12. How exciting. So to illustrate my book and my cards. So we're in the very outer wheel, just at the edge in the now. But as we're going to see, I'm just going to explain in a bit. Even though we're in the now, which is the acute and kind of very physical symptoms, if you're looking at the flower remedies, it's actually everything. Do you see what I mean? It's all... Time actually collapses and we're always dealing with right back in our past and right into the future, which isn't existing, but we are projecting that way. So it's all there on every level. And this is why this particular ring have very complex mandalas. Well, for my mandalas, which are very, not basic, but very pared down. They're meant to be because they're dealing with just the very fundamentals of what's going on. Okay, so I'm just going to whiz through this again just to re-brainwash you and to show you where we are in case you haven't been watching any of them. So here we go. So we got the I am. We come down in our glimmering raindrop from God. And then there's we split into two, the goddess energy here. Then we add a separate ring, so that becomes the Borromean rings, what we're going to do. Then we animate it with the Holy Spirit, so that's going to push us forward, or the growth, the Fibonacci code. It's that kind of prana that makes us grow into life. And then we're allowed the tree of knowledge, we're allowed to eat, we're allowed to distinguish between good and bad, in inverted commas, but we're looking at these dualities. And then here we are in the pentagon and the pentagram, which is the Fibonacci man, which is the I am of the man. Well, the family, the male, female, and how that energy moves around in us. And then we get into the hexagon. That's the next thing that happens to us, where male and female actually join together in the Star of David. And now we're very much incarnating on the earth. And the hexagon, you know, like the bees, is to do with setting up your life and your business and what you do and how you react. And here we have karma and all these things going on. And then if you home in on that man and then build him up, we worked last week and blow him up, sorry, is what I meant to say. We worked on the chakras, which is the energy vortexes going down the spine. So that's very much us beginning to be reacting around to our lives around us. And we looked at the different ways they work. And we also looked at the square, so that we then squared our lives and made ourselves very secure. And we looked at the difference between the protective square and the temple, and how they can both be, you know, we need both of them in place. And then this day, we're going to look at the meridians, which are this wonderful energy highways that go up and down our body. And so they flow not on the surface, they're right within, but they're not linked to the spine like the chakras. And they work in corresponding pairs, and they're also very linked to the different organs of the body. So that's why there are so many flower formulas, because they all deal with these, and then the different pairs, and then the different emotions. So there are 20 of them, so they're quite a lot. Before we go on to the actual cards, I just wanted to look at this wonderful spiraling down of the different shapes, coming from the organic shapes into the crystallized form, and here we are on Earth. And I just wanted to show you that really what happens is this. It kind of spirals up and down and flows around. So we get this amazing kind of this going on in the timeline. It's just so graphic, I love it. I mean, obviously people do this in far more beautiful ways and these kind of very psychedelic colours, but I don't do that. I do it in childlike form because it's fun and it makes me understand it better. So, you know, in the beginning was the word, and then there's man. So you've got it all kind of linking up. That also collapses in like this. So what you get is this. So you get the drop, and then the goddess, and you know, it's all happening. The pentagon, the hexagon. Then you get the temple at the end, and then the final beautiful the the donut of energy, you know, the way it works around the double helix or the torus, which is constantly in our bodies going round and round like that, and making us, you know, keeping us alive and giving us all this wonderful energy, which we have access to. So what I'm trying to kind of convince my body and my mind is that these are all there for me to activate. And when one's out of balance, you know, if the pentagon's gone a bit off, wow, I need to work on that level. If the hexagon, if I'm dealing with karma, or I've got, you know, which we always are, one of these corners might be pulling it all out of place or down there. And if I'm just holding on for life and being very, very like that with my scorer, maybe I need to turn it into a temple and look at things with more flow and allow things in and out. But also have an area of protection, but always know that I'm part of the divine, and that I am, and that I show up with all my beautiful chakras and my meridians going, you know, pulsing away. And then you've got that idea of heart center point right there in the middle of everything. So this one's new for me. I mean, I love this. I wish I'd included this in the book, actually, because it's a cracker. Probably a bit better painted, but there you go. Right, so let's look at what happens with these cards. I mean, I'm saying the cards just because it's easier than flicking through the book, because I'm going to put them side by side, but they're all in there at the back. So they do work in pairs, and the first, which is white light, so it's dealing with that everything, the goddess and the male energy, are lotus and white rose. And they both have a cross in them. That's interesting to see. So it's very much, I mean, you know, they do, all of these cards do have different religious symbols in them. You're going to see a wide plethora of different ones. You get the Hindu, nature, Celtic, Nordic, Holy Grail, Middle Ages, heraldic. It's all there, and I drew upon all these different cultures purposefully. Well, a bit guided, actually, to be honest. I was testing it with my kinesiology and intuition, all this stuff, to see which were the right ones to manifest these cards. And you know, the reason it's all these different religious things, and sometimes not, they're sometimes random, is just to show that all religion, it leads to the right answer, really, you know, if we flow with it and we connect with what's behind, you know, the word of man, but that beautiful Godhead energy. So what I'm using the cross here for is to say, what is your cross to bear? You know, so the male one is saying your inner cross, your inner divinity. So you incarnate divinity. And the female one is saying bring, so there's a little cross on there, your divinity onto this earth and allow it to grow. And there's a lot more in the books about these on different levels, but I just thought I'd continue with the flow that I've been working on. So that's the first pair that I thought I'd look at. Then there are images which I've absolutely copied from, I haven't even tried to do something new with them. And these are these two. So you've got Sri Yantra and you've got the dragon flight, because they express exactly what we're trying to do. So this is for shock and ordinary everyday kind of shock, but sort of things that are not going right for you, and you need to re-enter into that timeless, wonderful dance of life and be, you know, recognize, take this kind of that feeling of being clamped in and just, it's called that wonderful cosmic dance. So that's the Sri Yantra, which is worth looking up, taken from the Hindu faith. And then this one isn't taken from any faith in particular. If anything, it's from pantheism, because you've got the sun and the moon there. And the sun and the moon are classic symbols for male and female energy. And here you've got bluebell, which is here on the blue chakra, meridian for the throat going down here. And it's for the appetite, so it's the thyroid. And you can see that what happens when you get a sore throat, basically, there. Get stuck and really sore, and then how when you release it, you feel the. It's also that expressive thing, how we need to express ourselves, you know, which happens a lot when we're children. We're not allowed to say what we want to say. I think children are a bit more now, actually. I think that's possibly more our generation, but you know, children are being perhaps too much, but you know, that's a good thing. communication is the key to relationships. So that's a very important one. You can't get that one in a better way. Then the other one is the Manipura chakra, which I slightly played around with because it wasn't exactly right. So this is where I used my kinesiology to test, and I found that this is for the pancreas. So it's for feeling safe in life and sugar balance and maternal energy and paternal as well, actually. But it's kind of launching yourself forward. All this area on the yellow chakra and in those meridians is kind of having faith in yourself and self-esteem. But I added a sort of target practice thing and a moon there. So that adds a certain, you've got to break out from the moon. But we'll look at that one because I actually had to do that one. So I'll show you in art therapy how I use that one. Okay, then we get very obvious male energies going through these. I'm going through these quite fast because otherwise it will take too long. So you get the solar thing, definite sunshine. So sunshine up here in Thistle, which is male energy, which you'll choose if you are really worried about money, if you're worried about work, if you're not sleeping well, all your circadian rhythms are out, and you just need to feel that sunshine actually and relax, but sort of just know that everything's pulsing out from you. And we've seen that actually in the chakra one, the one of the that particular chakra, the 7th chakra. So that's very male. Indigo, mostly they're female on indigo, you'll see. These are all very moony. But this one, Thistle, is about the sinuses, which is about leadership and crystallized tears. And I haven't been able to express my tears and my emotions, and I feel a bit bitter and a bit congested up there. And it's asking you to be that leader and follow your true intuition, connect with your solar intuition up here. And perhaps stop bad habits. I mean, we often need this if we've kind of slightly followed not what our total intuition is saying, and we need more space and flowering out of our vision. So it's very graphic, that, and quite Celtic. So it is a little bit the Percival. Every time the Celtic stuff comes up for me, it's always a slightly linking to the search for the Holy Grail, which we think is outside us, but it's actually inside. That's where the alchemical stone is, and that's where the transmutation takes on. This is the hermetic practice. It's coming right back. Veil of Isis, all that stuff. Anyway, so beautiful, that one. Then we've got opposite. We get opposites going on, so we're working in pairs here. So if we've got a problem, we've got a headache, more than likely we've got something going on in our liver. So this is the one for the liver. And it's the kapow of anger and feeling congested and kind of irritable. And I was going to look at all the different granulations of anger, and it's really important if you're not expressing your anger, you'll be letting go of your power. So we have been told in our society you're not allowed to be angry, and shush, don't say that, and be kind and be nice all the time. But actually, it's really important that we can express anger when it's necessary and get these emotions out. They're only like water. I mean, look at water, gets very angry, nature gets very angry, and then it's calm. But if it held it all in, volcanic energy, what would happen? Well, the whole world would explode. So that's what we do to our bodies. We can learn a lot from nature. So yes, allowing ourselves to recapture this power, which is male power, raw, bring it out, raw. That's a good thing. And then this is very delicate because this is linked to the skin, and the daffodil, which is a very brave daffodil, comes up in the cold and opens up like a kind of lamp of bright yellow chakra, going, I'm here, I'm early, and I smell beautiful, and I smell of summer. I smell of possibilities and what I can do, and what this world will change into after the winter. So when we're choosing this, we're often needing that energy to feel that we can be brave and stand up and show our light, and that things will get better. And it's kind of pulling us out, What are we in a 6? So we're in a 6 there. So yes, it's kind of karmatic-y, and be yourself. So that's beautiful. So those are the male ones. Then moving on to the female ones, so mostly in indigo, And they do obviously permeate down. We've got male, female in the heart. We've got heart and lungs. That's going to come out as well. But these predominantly are quite female ones. This is on indigo. I'll look at that one last. So we've got nightshade, which is for the teeth and is for balance and rhythm. You can see that when we're in life, we need to be working or but not kind of got to get some kind of flow going so that we keep going. Anyway, so that gives us a nice triangle there, and the idea of the third eye opening and space. So it's self-care, massive self-care, this one, and belief in yourself. So if you pick this one, your self-esteem might be down and you might be not thinking you're worth looking after. And perhaps you're not learning the lessons of life, so that's something to look at too. That's all on the indigo chakra. Okay, so this one is a really mighty one. It's one of my absolute faves. This is for depression, deep, dark depression. Or fleeting, can be just going through it. It can be to do with the moon, the cycles, This is based on the runes. It's a fantastic mandala. Absolutely love it. So you've got the safety of the square and you've got the sun implied, but it also looks like the moon. So you've got the sort of sun coming up here and these little, forgotten what runes they are actually, I should have looked them all up. But it's got this amazing feeling of cycles and time and getting you back and sort of giving you space. So if you pick this one, it's worth looking into whether there's some therapy to be done. Maybe this is time to unpack something in the past that's really bugging you and has slowed it right down and brought it all to a bit of a halt and affecting your cycles and your sleep, and everything's kind of coming into a bit of a... So yes, definitely that would indicate something up here in the key. So maybe it's time to unlock a bit. This one is fantastic. This one is really cool because it's female energy when it's very active and very going around doing lots of things. I mean, I manifest this an awful lot, and I have just gone through this one very much so. And it's when we're in feverish activity on a physical level, it's actually for fevers. So it could be very ill, malaria, all the kind of bugs that we get in hot countries, but even for fevers. So if you take the remedy, that's what it will help with. But it's helping this chakra up here, the third eye, helping you to calm down. But you also, on an emotional level, it's when you're kind of looking around for ideas and you've got loads of plates in the air and you're kind of looking at things and working out what it is you want to do with your life. And you might be walking the labyrinth. And the labyrinth is different from the maze. The maze has it's more for entertainment, the maze. So it has lots of entrances, lots of dead ends, and you kind of have to go back and start again. Whereas the labyrinth is a spiritual thing, and it's a spiritual pathway, and it leads to your inner wisdom. So, and what it's saying is it's all right to take long, circuitous routes. It may be okay to take you 50 years to work out how to live your life. That's okay. Or longer. It really doesn't matter. It's all a game. And it's linked to the brain, obviously, because there was a lot of feverish activity going on up here. So it's asking you to, let go. You can see Jungian again. You can see the problem there, the heat in the brain. But you can also feel the cool. You can also feel the space. And you can see the lots of different ideas going on, but it's quite kind of organized. So it's allowing you to walk the labyrinth and find what it is you want to do. Where is your vision? Who are you? Anyway, so here we are. We're in this chakra now. We've moved down to the lungs. I've even put them in the right order, and the heart. So on the male side, we've got something very medieval. So this is very much the Holy Grail. And we're all looking outwards, always looking outwards. And it's to do with smoking. And Nicotiana is a fantastic antidote on a physical level to all the problems that we might face with congestion in the lungs and illness in the lungs. So, and often to do with that craving of smoking. But interestingly enough, when we smoke, we're often doing it in a sort of when we want to talk to people. I find it most difficult to give up when I had good conversations with people. So that's a fascinating one, and that's all to do with sharing ideas and finding out who we are. And but what's fascinating is that the actual really, really strong kind of inner guidance, the actual Holy Grail, is where? Inside, in us. It's there, and it almost looks like the alveoli, you know, but it's not meant to be physically, but it's that, it's heart center point, it's there, and it's obviously in our inner beings. So that's that one. And then we've got the heart. So the heart, we kind of want to keep it safe, and also want it to allow it to kind of pulsate and send out its radiance. And there's, you can feel a bit the pain there in the pink. Pink is like the colour that we will often use for the heart chakra, which is rose quartz. So you've got the rose quartz bathing this beautiful emerald. And the idea of the jewel of our heart that we must give lovingly. And it's being kind of pulled open a bit there, the valves are being allowed to breathe. So this is very much, you can see, actually they look quite, both, they don't have male female to me, although, you know, they're slightly different. Okay, so the odd one out, I think, is this one, but it's a spiral, but it's to do with the kidneys. So here we've got stress, and we're being the spiral's being compacted and put into a double circle. So this is when life is very stressful, and it's definitely for the kidney meridian, for water. You can feel the wateriness of it here, but also there's something kind of sticking out through our hole, through this circle there. So it's also to do with abuse, and it actually can be physical abuse, bedwetting in children, all these kind of, it needn't be physical, mental, emotional, children picking up things that they perhaps don't want to hear, being in families that are difficult, you know, and later in life we carry that through with us. Relationships, we're a bit nervous about them because of things in the past. So this one is quite a delicate mandala actually, and would definitely, I think, goes a bit hand in hand with this. Perhaps needs a bit of looking into if your child chooses this. So see what's going on, why they're feeling stressed, get them to express it and move it a bit so that that spiral has space to move and feels free. Okay, so now we've got the sexual chakra. We're looking at the daisy. First of all, we have emerging, so daisy and arum lily. So we have first emerging sexuality, which also happens at menopause, funny enough. Both of these we need to look at again in menopause. So it's new creativity, the four corners of how am I expressing myself out, and then this feeling of safety to do that, so that I can express myself, look at the different temples, the inner squares, the circle, and how do I create on this earth my ideas, but and how do I share. So it's opening to life, and you can almost see that sort of kind of slightly sexy thing going on and there. And then you've got arum lily, which has its beautiful square again, protection, and space for the couple to be together and work out their yin and yang and how they work together and flow together. And their triangle that they create should probably be kind of flat at that triangle. And then also what their procreation is going to create. So this is working on all the hormones of the body for male, female. Okay, and the last ones are the red ones. So you've got poppy, which is beautiful weather vane, the kind of person who picks everything up and has very little protection. So they have to learn to be very strong. Outside protection, you can see there is no membrane there. So they pick up everything. They tend to be very airy-fairy and very kind of connected and slightly wafting along. But what they do need to do is kind of get rid of that. Not so much get rid of it, but use that to make themselves very strong and grounded, and use it to create flow in their lives rather than fear. So this chakra is very much to do with fear. And this one is the front of my book, which is overcoming fear. and that's the reason I put it on the front. I also put it on the front because it's a flower, and these remedies are all based on flowers. This is the chrysanthemum, so this is to do with the large intestine and the now, but very much sort of, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen next, and phobias and stuff like that. So it's kind of forcing it out and protecting. I mean, it's a very strong protecting colour. And the last one is the portal. And it's interesting because I took it from the atomic sign, which was a portal for the end of the war in some ways, Second World War, because it put a stop to it with a and pain is where our body tells us we need to grow out of something. It's on the very edges of what we can stand. So it's saying you need to move beyond this. So that's why the square has these kind of, if you see it curls back on itself. So it's almost like a temple, but this isn't like a temple. It's a square that could grow bigger. So it's asking you to grow beyond your boundaries and explore pain, which is an easy thing to say when you're not in pain. Anyway, so what did I do with them? I shuffled them, and then I chose one, and this was the one I came up with. The right way around, yes, which is for the pancreas, which is true actually, because I'm hungry all the time at the moment, so that makes sense. And it's for cutting the umbilical cord, which is true in many ways, because of I think in the menopause you do. I think you sort of realise that you're moving into a new moment in your lives. Perhaps your mother is going to die at some point, your parents, so there's a whole different thing that comes up. So, and also what new ideas do you want to aim for? What's going to make you kind of radiant and superpower? Anyway, so what did I do? I coloured it in, drew around it, did the same thing as always, and actually I just had it just like that, without this kind of pointiness in. And I looked at it and I thought, yes, that's quite radiant, and it's quite yellowy, and it's very much that chakra, and yes, I feel kind of safe, but there's a bit of a block. This does look like a block, the half moon. Something I've got to jump out of or get over. So then I had this kind of urge to paint this triangle into it, which is, then I realised that's how I get out. It's like creating a vortex out. So in a way this has a sort of third dimension or fourth, fifth dimension to it. And I found that really, it gave me a huge insight into this mandala, which I hadn't seen before. That's why they're constantly evolving. And I do hope in the future this book will be something with these videos that people will come back to and use for this purpose. Okay, so then I had this urge to do it again without all the paraphernalia of the rest of the mandala, and just put myself inside this kind of turbocharged space machine, which is what it turned into. And yes, it's powering me forward into the future. And I just did that without, I had to. So that I found really, I love this image. I like the way it's kind of off to the side here, and how zen I look in there. And the fact that it's a sort of, it's an avatar kind of, it really makes me feel like I've come down from the high spirits. Then I thought, right, I need to get back to the actual Manipura, which looks like this. It's like underneath here, covering up, there is a kind of, so I looked it up, which is just something I did as an experience. I just wanted to see what was going on behind it, to reconnect with this mandala. So I saw this figure and I thought, oh, that looks like somebody surfing. And here there isn't anything blocking it. And then I thought, well, a block needs to be changed into something positive. I've never worked so much on this mandala. I've never understood this mandala. So this is why this is the last of the last, because I'm getting it now. So then I repainted it, and I put I realised that looks like a little kind of surfboard. Not that I can really surf, but anyway, that's a good idea to do it. And I did the whole mandala again, but I actually incorporated this person. And he looks like he's escaping, and surfing through his life. So that's how it ended for me, surfing out of here. So it's time to end these now, but thank you very much, everyone who's followed.